Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavat Prem Nawe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelan Shitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishwara Sridharam Vanshakapatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevaja Patitanam Bhavenibhyo Vaishnabhebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah.
Jai Om Vishnu Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Pavan Maharaj ki jai.
So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Madhya-lila, chapter 8, talks between the Lord and Ramananda Raya, and I'll begin with verse number 198. Raya ko he jai kahao, se ko he bani, ki ko he ye balomanda, kichwi na jani. Sri Ramananda Raya replied, I do not know what I am saying, but you have made me speak what I have spoken, be it good or bad. I am simply repeating that message. Tribhuvana madhye aiche hoy kondira jetomaram mayanate ha ibekastira. Within these three worlds, who is so undisturbed that he can remain steady as you manipulate your different energies? Moramuke bhakta tumi hao shrota, atyanta rahasya shuna, saranera kata. Actually, you are speaking through my mouth, and at the same time you are listening. This is very mysterious. Anyway, kindly hear the explanation of the process by which the goal can be attained. Radha Krishna Lila Ati Gudatar Dasha Batsal Jadi Bhave Na Hoy Gochar. The pastimes of Radha and Krishna are very confidential. They cannot be understood through the mellows of servitude, fraternity, or parental affection. So he's saying, Ramananda Raya is saying to Mahaprabhu that the pastimes of Radha and Krishna are not accessible through Dasharas or Sakyaras or even Vatsalyaras. You cannot understand Radha and Krishna's pastimes by being situated in those rasas. But he says, Sabhayek Saki Ganer Iha Adhikar Sake hoite hoy e lilara bistar. Actually, only the gopis have the right to appreciate these transcendental pastimes, and only from them can these pastimes be expanded. Sake bina e lila pushta nahi hoy, sake lila vistariya, sake ashwadoy. Without the gopis, these pastimes between Radha and Krishna cannot be nourished. Only by their cooperation are such pastimes broadcast. It is their business to taste the mellows. And here, he's referring to the Sakis, it's translated as gopis, but referring to the leaders. Saki bina e lila anyara nahi gati, saki bhave jetare kore anugati, Radha Krishna kunja seva sadya se pai Se sadya paite ara nahi kaupai. Without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only one who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavan. Only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. So the meaning is clear. There are some persons that we would refer to as sahajias. And the sahajias, they although there's emphasis on getting, like, why did Mahaprabhu meet with Ramananda Roy? He met with Ramananda Roy because it's also understood without the blessings of the gopis, one cannot understand the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. So you need to get the blessings of the gopis, and in particular, Mahaprabhu went to South India and he met with Ramananda Roy by the Godavari. There are, however, persons who, not understanding that you have to see the message of devotional service in its entirety, with understanding all the aspects of devotional service. So some persons only want to concentrate on hearing about the more confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna Lila, and only want to hear. There was a group called the Gopi Bhava, persons who only wanted to relish what is spoken or understood by the gopis, and that's complete sahajya. Those persons will never understand Mahaprabhu's mission. We are understanding where we're trying to hear from Mahaprabhu, and that means, all of his teachings. He also says he also says things like about Cheto Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnam Ritasvaranam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. He says, Mahaprabhu, in his first verse of the Sikshastika, talks about the chanting of the holy name, and Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirta. The chanting of the holy name is like a bath for the soul. So Sarvatma Snapanam. So we have to engage in the all the teachings of Mahaprabhu is given by Gurudev, and not just concentrate on very what I would say is an emotional understanding of devotional service by some persons who only want to hear about the Radha and Krishna and the gopis. That's makes them, they're not so many of these persons, they're not qualified to just concentrate on that, and nor just like people take things out of context. I remember one time, in a different way, one person, we were walking with Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and someone referred to someone in Los Angeles. They said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, these devotees, they only take Ekadasi preparations every day." And Srila Prabhupada was being sarcastic, and he said, "Oh, advancement." And they said, "Advancement, Srila Prabhupada?" And he said, "Yes." And then he went on to explain, and it was like Prabhupada's dry humor that he was saying, "Oh, this is like saying, oh, very good." And afterwards, people were saying, "Oh, Prabhupada was saying that only taking Ekadasi preparations is very good." And I said, "Well, if it's why is it Srila Prabhupada? He doesn't eat like that. He doesn't only take Ekadasi preparations." So at one point, someone quoted from the Bhagavad Gita and said, Prabhupada, it says in the Bhagavad Gita that all living entities subsist on food grains, and food grains are produced by rain, and rain is produced by sacrifice. So it says all living entities subsist on food grains, and Srila Prabhupada said, he said, that is for animals. But it was his humor. And then months later, Prabhupada went to Los Angeles, and they said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, these devotees here, they only take Ekadasi preparations. And Prabhupada said, oh, why is that? And they said, oh, because Srila Prabhupada, they say that only animals need to eat food grains. And Srila Prabhupada said, I eat food grains. Do I look like an animal? So people can't always, Prabhupada would sometimes say things in a way that he is like making some joke about the Westerners' understanding of things. And people couldn't always get that. So some people have, like here, it says, the verse is saying, without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only one who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Shri Radha and Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavan. Only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. And it is true, and Mahaprabhu went to meet with Ramananda Raya because he may be Krishna himself. Internally, he's Krishna, but he's covered with the Bhavakanti, the mood and the beauty of Srimati Radharani. So he may be Krishna himself, but even for Krishna to continue, even for Krishna, as Mahaprabhu may be internally Krishna, but he needs the blessings of the gopis in order to preach all understandings of his mission and about conjugal love. So he met with Ramananda Raya. But that doesn't negate or that doesn't diminish the importance of all the other teachings that Mahaprabhu has given. And if you hear this chapter about Mahaprabhu's conversations with Ramananda Raya, everything is very progressively being stated. So we may come to very high consideration. I mean, there's parts of this chapter that is so elevated. It's almost, they're quoting from Ujjvala Nilamani and so many essential or very esoteric scriptures that I would say that just so that a group of people think we should only hear these things. We should only hear the most confidential parts of Mahaprabhu's conversation with Ramananda Raya. We should only hear about, and they even called themselves a club. They called themselves the Gopi Bhava. They might as well have called themselves the Sahajya Bhava because they were complete Sahajyas. This is one of the things two things that Prabhupada always talked about, wanting to warn the devotees to stay away from. One is Mayavad. So many people, they're Mayavad, and they'll say, oh, it's all one. If you worship Krishna, or you worship Shiva, or if you worship any of the demigods, it's all the same thing. That's not true at all. We are not Mayavadis. Krishna is the source of Ham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mata Sarvam Pravartate Ti Matva Bhajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samambita. Everything is resting on Krishna. We're not followers of all the demigods, and we don't believe that it's all one. So the Mayavadis, they think that Krishna is just a spokesperson for the Supreme Brahman. They don't understand who Krishna is. So one of the things Prabhupada would preach against is Mayavad impersonalism. And the other thing he would preach against is the Sahajyas. Like there's so many persons who misinterpret Mahaprabhu's teachings, and they say that, like, there are persons that think that basically Gaudiya Vaishnavism is just an excuse for sexuality. They think that it's all about that. Basically, they think that Radha and Krishna's pastimes is all just about a relationship between man and woman, although they'll say it's on a very high level. But all these things are very, very distasteful. There is no other process for understanding. So, Vibhorapi Sukharupa Svaprakashopi Bhavaha. No, Vibhorapi Sukharupa Svaprakashopi Bhava. Shanamapi Nahi Radha Krishnayor Yarite Swaha. Pravahati Rasa Pushtim Chidvibhutir Ivesha. Shrayati na param asam ka sakinam rasagyaha. The pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna are self-effulgent. They are happiness personified, unlimited and all-powerful. Even so, the spiritual humors of such pastimes are never complete without the gopis, the Lord's personal friends. A supreme personality of Godhead is never complete without his spiritual potencies. Therefore, unless one takes shelter of the gopis, one cannot enter into the company of Radha and Krishna. Who can be interested in their spiritual pastimes without taking their shelter? Sakir Svabhava Ek Akatya Katan Krishna Saha Nija Lilai Nahi Sakir Man. There is an inexplicable fact about the natural inclinations of the gopis. The gopis never want to enjoy themselves with Krishna personally. And this is an important understanding, because it's really what makes the love of the gopis so pure. It's not about their own personal enjoyment. And that's one of the things that the persons who don't understand about Radha and Krishna or about the gopis, they think it's about their own personal enjoyment. They don't understand what the nature of the gopis is. There is an inexplicable fact about the natural inclinations of the gopis. The gopis never want to enjoy themselves with Krishna personally. Krishna saha radhikara lila jekarai nija sukha hoite tate koti sukha pai. The happiness of the gopis increases 10 million times when they serve to engage Shri Radha and Krishna in their transcendental pastimes. Radhara Swarupa Krishna Prema Kalpa Lata Sakigan Hoitara Palava Pushpa Pata. By nature, Srimati Radharani is just like a creeper of love of Godhead, and the gopis are the twigs, flowers, and leaves of that creeper. Lila Krishna Lila Amrita Jadi Latake Sinchai Nija sukha hoite palavadyer koti sukha hoy. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on that creeper, the happiness derived by the twigs, flowers, and leaves is 10 million times greater than that derived by the creeper itself. So the love and the happiness that the gopis receive or perceive is by satisfying Radha and Krishna in their Leela, and it's not for their own personal enjoyment. Sakya Shri Radhikaya Braja Kumuda Vibhor Ladini Nama Shakti Saramsa Prema Vaya Kishalaya Dala Pushpadi Tuya Svatuyaha Shiktayam Krishna Lilamrita Rasa Nichayar Ulasantya Amusham Jatolasa Swasekats Chatagunam Adikam Santi Yatanna Chitram. All the gopis, the personal friends of Srimati Radharani, are equal to her. Krishna is pleasing to the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, just as the moon is pleasing to the lotus flower. His pleasure-giving potency is known as Aladini, of which the active principle is Srimati Radharani. She is compared to a creeper with newly grown flowers and leaves. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on Srimati Radharani, all her friends, the gopis, immediately appreciate the pleasure 100 times more than if they were sprinkled themselves. Actually, this is not at all wonderful. So a creeper means like a vine, and Bhakti-lila Bij. When one gets the seed when one receives the Mahamantra from the spiritual master, one gets the seed of devotional service, which is sown or planted in one's heart. And by the watering process of chanting the holy names, that creeper grows. And I said it's like a vine, so it's described that the creeper of devotional service, like a vine grows around a tree, then the creeper of devotional service grows around or takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, and then it produces fruit, which is love of Godhead. So I remember how it's so nice, because we were in Mexico City, and the devotees used to eat, and then they would wash their plates and sometimes throw the plates on the ground. And so from some of the seeds of, in this case, it was like seed of either of kalabasa, or either squash, or of what's also like a squash that, okay, no tú conoces como es también como calabaza, pero tiene, pero el fin de ella, ¿cómo es? Sí, what is, I don't remember right now, but it's all the devotees would eat this. It's, they cook it in like a kind of squash. Anyway, some of the seeds were gradually, some of the seeds sprouted, and this vine came up, and the vine went around like one of the poles there where telephone wires were. And it grew around the pole, and then it grew around the telephone lines, and then even on the vine on the telephone lines, you could see some of the squashes growing there. So it's like that's the idea of a creeper. Creeper, like we've seen vines, and they take shelter of walls, of posts, and Jajapis Sakir Krishna Sangame Nahiman Tatapi Radhika Jatne Karana Sangam. Although the gopis, Srimati Radharani's friends, do not desire to enjoy themselves directly with Krishna, Srimati Radharani makes a great endeavor to induce Krishna to enjoy himself with the gopis. Nanachali, are you cooking today? Oh, nice. Nanachali Krishna Preri Sangamakarai Atma Krishna Sangha Hoite Koti Sukapai. Presenting various pleas for the gopis, Srimati Radharani sometimes sends the gopis to Krishna just to enable them to associate with him directly. At such times, she enjoys a happiness 10 million times greater than that enjoyed through direct association. So there's what we heard before is Krishnadas Kaviraj says the mood of Radharani, the mood of the gopis is they're not interested in their own enjoyment. They're interested in Krishna's satisfaction. And if Radharani sends gopis to meet with Krishna, that's also with the same idea that she's thinking to of Krishna's satisfaction. Anyonye Vishuddha Preme Kore Rasa Pushta Tasabar Premadeke Krishna Hoy Tushta. The transcendental mellow is nourished by that mutual behavior and transcendental love of Godhead. So, what it's saying is, this rasa is nourished by the mutual behavior in love of God. By this, it's reciprocal, mutual. So, when Lord Krishna sees how the gopis have developed pure love for him, he becomes very satisfied. Sahaja gopir prema nahi prakritikam kamakrita samyetaran kahi kamanam. It is to be noted that the natural characteristic of the gopis is to love the Supreme Lord. Their lusty desire is not to be compared to material lust. Nonetheless, because their desire sometimes appears to resemble material lust, their transcendental love for Krishna is sometimes described as lust. But the real quality of lust is that one desires one's own enjoyment. And although the gopis' love for Krishna could sometimes be seen or sometimes labeled as lust, there is a big difference, because the gopis are not interested in just their own enjoyment. They're interested in Krishna's enjoyment. Premaiva gopa ramanam kama iti agamat pratam iti udavadayo iti udavadayo piyetam vanchanti bhagavat priya. Premaiva gopa ramanam kama iti agamat pratam iti udavadayo piyetam vanchanti bhagavat priya. Although the gopis of the dealings with Krishna are on the platform of pure love of Godhead, such dealings are sometimes considered to be lusty. But because they are completely spiritual, Uddhava and all the other dearmost devotees of the Lord desire to participate in them. Uddhava prayed to be born as a plant in Vrindavan so he could get the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis upon himself. And he praised the love of the gopis for Krishna. At the same time, we know Uddhava is a very pure soul. He would not be interested in the normal lusty relationship between man and woman. But he praised the love of the gopis. Nijendriya sukha hetu kamera tatparya Krishna sukha tatparya gopi bhavavarya. Lusty desires are experienced when one is concerned with one's own personal sense gratification. The mood of the gopis is not like that. Their only desire is to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Nijendriya sukha bancha nahi gopikar Krishna sukha dite kore sangama bihar. Among the gopis, there is not a pinch of desire for sense gratification. Their only desire is to give pleasure to Krishna, and this is why they mingle with him and enjoy with him. Yate sujata charanam buruham staneshu bita shanar priya dadimahi karkaseshu tenatavim atasi tad vyatate no kim sweet kurpadibir brahma kurpadibir brahmati dear bavad ayushanaha. All the gopis said, "Dear Krishna, to carefully hold your delicate lotus feet." All the gopis said, "Dear Krishna, we carefully hold your delicate lotus feet upon our hard breasts. When you walk in the forest, your soft lotus feet are pricked by small bits of stone. We fear that this is paining you. Since you are our life and soul, our minds are very much disturbed when your lotus feet are pained." So this would be, in a modern context, this would be not that people would think that this is some kind of lusty relationship. But the mood of the gopis is not at all like that. They are just interested in, they're worried about Krishna when he goes to tend the cows, that his lotus feet may be hurt by stones. Say gopi bhavamrite jara lobahoy Veda Dharma Loka Tyaji, say Krishna Bhajai. One who is attracted by that ecstatic love of the gopis does not care about popular opinion or the regulative principles of Vedic life. Rather, he completely surrenders unto Krishna and renders service unto him. Raganuga Margetare Bhajaje Jan, say Janapai Braje Brajendra Nandan. If one worships the Lord on the path of spontaneous love, that means Ragmarg, and goes to Vrindavan, one will receive the shelter of Brajendra Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj. If one worships the Lord on the path of spontaneous love and goes to Vrindavan, one will receive the shelter of Brajendra Nandana, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Brajaloker Kon Bhava, Loya Jay Bhaje, Bhava Jogya, Dehopaya, Krishna Pai Braje. In his liberated stage, the devotee is attracted by one of the five humors in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As he continues to serve the Lord in that transcendental mood, he attains the spiritual body to serve Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. So these are referring to the rasas, Dasya, Sakya, principally Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. It says five rasas, so that also includes Shanta ras. It says in his neutrality. In his liberated stage, the devotee is attracted by one of the five humors in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As he continues to serve the Lord in that transcendental mood, he attains the spiritual body to serve Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. Tahate drishtanta Upanishad Shrutigan Ragamarge Bhaje Paila Brajendra Nandan. Those saintly persons who represent the Upanishads are vivid examples of this. By worshiping the Lord on the path of spontaneous love, they attain the lotus feet of Brajendra Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj. So here there's a reference. At one time, Lakshmi Devi, she desired to, she was thinking, well, I'm attached to Narayan, but Narayan is in Vaikuntha. His mood is not as enjoyable as Krishna. So Lakshmi desired to enter into Krishna's Leela. So she underwent severe austerities for a long time. But she was unsuccessful. Because why? Lakshmi herself, she's a representative of Aishvarya Gyan, of serving the Lord with awe and reverence and respect and majesty. That's the mood of Lakshmi. So with that mood, she couldn't enter into Krishna's Leela. But the Shrutidhar, the personified Vedas, is mentioned in I think around the 90th chapter of the 10th canto. The Shrutidhar, they wanted to enter into Krishna's Leela. So Lakshmi was unsuccessful because she maintains her sense of majesty, of being the goddess of fortune. But the Shrutidhar, what they did is they worshipped in the mood of the gopis, and then they were able to take birth in the family of gopis, in the family of Kaular. They were able to take birth in family of gopas, and they themselves became gopis, and then they were able to enter into Krishna's Leela. Lakshmi Devi couldn't, because she never could give up the sense of of majesty that she has as the queen of Vaikuntha. But the Shrutidhara, the personified Vedas, they were able to worship in the mood of Vrindavan and then take birth as gopis in Vrindavan and enter into Krishna's Leela. So, Nibritta Marun Manoksha Dradayoga Yujo Ridiyan Munaya Upasate Tad Arayopi Yayu Smaranat Striya Uragendra Bogab Bhuja Danda Vishakta Dio Vayamapite Sama Drishongri Saroja Shuddha. Great sages conquer the mind and senses by practicing the mystic yoga system and controlling the breath. Thus, engaging in mystic yoga, they see the supersoul within their hearts and ultimately enter into impersonal Brahman. But even the enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead attain that position simply by thinking of the Supreme Lord. However, the damsels of Braja, the gopis, being attracted by the beauty of Krishna, simply wanted to embrace him in his arms, which are like serpents. Thus the gopis ultimately tasted the nectar of the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, we Upanishads can also taste the nectar of his lotus feet by following in the footsteps of the gopis. So this is a description from the personified Vedas. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by the Shrutis, the personified Vedas. Actually, it's from the 87th chapter of the 10th canto. Samadrisha shabde kahe sebave anugati sama shabde kohe shrutir gopideho prapti. The word samadrisha, mentioned in the fourth line of the previous verse, means following the mood of the gopis. The word sama means the Shrutis attaining a body like those of the gopis. Angri Padma Shudaya Kohe Krishna Sangananda Bidi Marge Napaye Braje Krishna Chandra. The word Angri Padma Shuddha means associating intimately with Krishna. One can attain such perfection only by spontaneous love of Godhead. Only by spontaneous love of God. One cannot obtain Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan simply by serving the Lord according to the regular principles. So here it's saying you can't get Krishna just by Vidhi Mark, following all the rules and regulations and learning all the mantras and everything. But you can get Krishna by developing spontaneous or loving attachment for him. So, let's see. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Jnaninam Shatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matamiha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. So I'm going to stop here tomorrow. We'll continue. Today we also have our Sunday program, which will begin about 11 o'clock in the morning. And Arun Krishna and Madhav Maharaj will be here singing in the temple. And then yesterday we had Yesterday we had our program for the appearance of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and today we have our Sunday program, and tomorrow, Monday, we have a disappearance celebration of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. So we'll also do that. I believe at what do you think? We should do that? The celebration of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati's disappearance. Should we do that in the midday or in the evening?
Midday.
Yeah, midday. I think so also, because we had a big festival yesterday, and then we have program here Sunday at noon. So then tomorrow we'll do a program for Srila Saraswati Thakur at midday, his disappearance. Now I'll sing Hari Harai. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama.
Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Dharanara Shiva Sari Gora Bhaktivedanta. Radha Krishna Nitya-lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Gauriya. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narathamuda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara, Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashri Shriman Srila Bhakti Tilak Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashri Shriman Srila Bhakti Nirmamacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashri Shriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashri Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dash Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ramayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Godavari Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki